Hey guys, my name's Dave, this is Custom Spray Mods, and in this video I'm going to show you how to fix a scratch or a scrape in the side of a car. Basically, the side of this door has been dented and scraped, so we need to use body filler, we need to sand out the scratches, we need to blend the paint, spray some primer and clear coat, all that and more in this video. Check it out. So yeah, this video is going to show you how to do the job. I've got a whole heap of other videos that also go through this kind of thing, fixing dents, fixing scratches, custom painting, detailing and more. So just if you get a chance, just go down, hit subscribe, totally free, and it makes me feel good to see that number go up. Basically, it's just a bit of support. So hope these videos help. If you can help me help you, hit subscribe, and much love. So a guy's been contacting me, he's been wanting to do some training, and he currently does paintless dent removal. So he really wanted to learn how to fix scratches and scrapes so he could service his customers. I thought I'd go out to his shop and help him, just show him how to get the job done so that he has a bit of an idea of what's involved and what to do if he needs to fix a dent and a scratch in a car. So I've gone out to his workshop and I need to help him or show him how to fix this job. Now, before we go out, we need to get a few products. So I'm going to head to VG Auto Paints, get some products so that I can take it out and make sure that I've got enough things to get the job done. When you're painting something, there's a lot of products that you need, and it's important to get the right products for the job. So let's head in, get some stuff. So I'm heading over to VG Auto Paints to pick up my stuff. And I get some masking material, including tape, some masking paper, and also some masking plastic. I'm also going to get a tack rag. Then I'm going to choose some sandpapers. A good idea of grits is 80 grit, 120 grit, 240 grit. Then you might need some 400 and 600 or 800. Also getting discs, some grey scuffing pads and some scuffing paste. Then I'm also going to get some guide coat. This is a powder, going to help me sand. Now I'm getting some products for body filling, including a board, some applicators, and a body filler. I like to choose a fine body filler, which makes sanding a little bit easier. I'm using a fast high build primer. I'm going to need some thinners for my color, some clear coat. Fast drying clear coat is good. Some wax and grease remover, some gun cleaning spray. Also, VG Auto Paints are going to mix up my color, giving them the paint code. They're going to make up the paint. I only need 250 mils, but I'm getting 500 mils. Make sure I have enough. I'm going to need a 1.8 mil spray gun for my primer and a 1.3 for my base and clear coat. I'm also going to get some water filters and a regulator to help get the pressure right. An air sander makes the job really easy, so I'm going to grab one of them, and then I'll be ready to head out and get this job done. As you can see, there's quite a nasty scrape on the side of this door. It's dented, so it's going to need some filler, it's scratched, we're going to need some high build primer, a thick primer to fill all the low spots, and then blend the paint. So we're going to start off by sanding with 120 grit sandpaper and a block. That's going to etch up the surface and allow the body filler to stick. This step is pretty easy. It's just a matter of etching up the surface so the body filler can stick. Once that's done, you can clean it with wax and grease remover. You're just going to spray it on and wipe it off. Now it's pretty much ready to apply the filler. I'm going to use my body filler mixing board and mix the body filler. This comes with hardener. Now the filler needs to be mixed with 2% hardener. I like to just draw a line down the middle of the pile to roughly give me the 2% hardener. Now it's important to mix it thoroughly so that it's all one uniform color. It's also important not to put too much hardener because that strong red hardener with peroxide in it can bleed through your final finish and you'll see an outline of the body filler. So generally this happens in cold weather when you're trying to rush. You're better off using heat to cure the body filler rather than using the chemicals. Now it's all mixed, I'm just going to apply the body filler over all the dented areas that we've etched up. Basically just putting it along the panel to just try and fill all the low spots. Once it dries, we'll come back and use a flat sanding block and some 80 grit sandpaper and try and get it smooth. I'm also using a large applicator to try and follow the panel and minimize sanding by scraping off that top layer. 45 minutes later, we brought the car back and ready to sand it. Now this is just a matter of sanding it and trying to shape the panel with the body filler and the block. You can also use some guide coat to help you find any low spots, and then you can address them later by putting some more filler over those low spots. Basically, this takes the most skill. Getting this part right is very hard, and it is quite hard to do in one day. So we've done the best we can, and then we'll move on to the next step. We're now going to move on to the scratches, and that's a matter of sanding them out with 120 grit until they're completely gone, even if you have to go back to the bare metal. Once you've got the scratches out with 120 grit sandpaper, we're going to finish with 240 grit sandpaper. This is going to prepare the panel for the primer. Normally 240 grit is the best grit before primer. So we've done the best we can with the body filler with the time we have. Now it's time to mask up the surrounding panels and prepare for our primer. Basically, we just need to put tape covering the car, then we can clean it and we're ready to spray our high build primer. I'm going to mix up the primer at the ratio of 4:1, and that says it on the tin. Using a mixing cup makes it very easy. High build primer is very thick to help fill any low spots that we might have from our sanding and our body filler. Because we want a nice thick coat, we're using a 1.8mm spray gun. We're going to clean the panel with wax and grease remover, and now we're ready to spray our primer. I'm going to set up the spray gun using 3 turns out of the fluid nozzle, the fan all the way out, and 30 psi on the regulator. Now I'm going to spray 3 coats of primer. And when spraying primer, it's important to overlap your passes more than 50%, making sure to get the gun nice and close to the job so that the primer goes on nice and smooth and has very little dryness. High build primer is a very thick primer, and it's designed to fill in all the low spots from the sanding or from the body filler. Body filler tends to shrink a bit, and the high build primer is designed to kind of help fill, and then once it's sanded, the panel should be nice and level. After about 45 minutes, we're ready to sand it. So I'm going to put some guide coat over the primed area and then start to sand with 400 grit dry sandpaper and a block. You could also use 400 grit wet sandpaper and water, but I'm just using dry and a hard block. It's important to use a sanding block because it needs to get nice and level. The second sand is going to be 600 grit or 800 grit. I can use a machine now because I've already got the shape. All I'm doing is smoothing out all the scratches from that previous sandpaper. I also like to use a 600 grit sanding sponge on all the edges of the repair just to help the new paint go down nice and even and minimize any scratches coming through. We've rubbed through the primer and exposed a bit of body filler, so I'm just going to put some aerosol primer over that bit and I'll sand that a little bit later. Now I'm going to use some grey Scotch-Brite, some scuffing paste and water. And I'm going to sand the rest of the panel and basically etch up that clear coat so that the new clear can stick. The reason we don't use sandpaper is because the base coat is going to be laid very fine on the edges and that has a tendency to fall into the scratch marks. So the grey Scotch-Brite is the best option when blending. We've removed all the old masking plastic and now we're going to mask up again. This time I'm using paper on the edges to mask up. I like to use paper because it tends to absorb the clear rather than stick to the top. We don't want that clear flaking off the plastic and landing in our paint job. So paper is a little bit safer on the edges of the repaired area. Another clean with wax and grease remover. We're ready to mix up our base coat and start painting. I'm mixing this base coat 2:1 with base coat thinners. Basically every base coat paint has a different mixing ratio, so check with the supplier, but this one is 2:1, so 2 parts paint, 1 part reducer, which is also thinners. Pretty much all colours that have a metallic sparkle to it are base coat, which means they need a clear coat. I'm using a 1.3mm spray gun. Now I'm ready to start painting. Before I get started, I'm going to clean with a tack rag. It's just a sticky rag designed to pick up any bits of dust on the surface. Just a light wash with that and you're ready to start painting. Doing the edges first, and then I'm going to move left and right, doing a good amount of passes over the job. It doesn't have to be completely covered in the first coat. Remember, we've got a lot of thinners in that gun. We don't want that to go on the job and react with the primer. So spraying your first coat nice and light is definitely beneficial. You can go a bit heavier on the second coat, but basically you don't want to go too close to the job with the base coat. All those metallic sparkles need to lay down evenly. If we go too slow and too wet, they can bunch up and cause an odd look to the paint. On the last coat, I'm going to angle the gun so that the paint goes in a blended action. This is going to help blend the new paint into the old paint. And I'm going to try not to paint to the edges of the panel because I want that paint to match when I unmask the paper. So we've painted 4 coats of base coat, waiting 10 minutes between coats. Now 15 minutes after the last coat, I'm ready to paint my clear. We've mixed up the clear coat and I'm ready to paint, doing all the edges first, then starting from the top and working my way down. Now, as you can see, I'm doing more than 50% passes. So once I spray across once, I'm only coming down maybe an inch or half an inch, overlapping and also going quite fast and having the gun quite close to the job. This is going to make the clear go down nice and wet, nice and even, and minimize runs. "15 minutes after the first coat, I can paint my second coat, going a little bit slower with the spray gun to get the clear nice and wet and nice and even. After about 20 minutes, we can take all the plastic and masking off the car. And this clear is a very fast drying clear, so if needed, it can be sanded and machine polished after about 35 to 40 minutes.
Pretty good.
And this is all dust now, it will come out by washing.
Yeah.
This area.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Good?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well done.
We did it in one day.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nice. Very good. Really enjoyed.
There you go, the job's done. It looks pretty good. I mean, for the time we had to do it, we only had one day to do the job. So we had to do the body filler, the primer. Normally that takes a whole day. Then we had to sand the primer, spray base coat and clear coat. And yeah, I mean, for the kind of the kind of job that it was, the guy's really happy with the finish. And considering we did it in a garage, it wasn't a spray booth, so yeah, we just had 2 compressors, linked them together. Now it was a bit of a DIY kind of home job. So just want to show you that you can get a good finish in any situation. So yeah, I hope this helps. Again, if you can, hit subscribe and like the video. Check out my other videos. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.